think about it or know about it, and it's very, very important. And I see the difference in our group. I mean, even in the store too. The teaching how to serve. I mean, service in France is way, way, way behind the U.S. And in stores, you can be ignored or treated like garbage by a salesperson. And now you go into the groups, stores, and they treat you really well because they've learned that, you are there and they are at your service. They're paid for that. And there's no excuse. And they even send people to check, in secret to see how they behave, and they're graded. So it's very important because today, if you don't have that, eventually you're out of business.
I also really enjoyed the part about how to handle the napkins, believe it or not, and the silverware. And share that one part about where you place the napkins. It depends whether you're done eating and whether you're just setting the table. Share a little about that. It's a nuance, but it's cute. I like it.
It's common sense, really, when you think about it. Because you've used your napkin and let's say first of all, if you receive in a French home, it's hard, but it's an old tradition. You don't get up like people do in America, to go to the bathroom 50 times. You wait until the end of the meal. But now it's becoming more relaxed, and, with globalization, it happens. Let's say you have to go out or you want to get up to settle the bill, not in front of your guest. And, you get up at the end of the meal. You don't put your dirty tablecloth on the table. You put it on your chair, and if you have a good waiter, he will, replace it. But it's something that people just don't know what to do with it, and yet, if you think about it, it doesn't belong to the table, anymore. A clean napkin belongs to the table. After that, it doesn't. So,
and that when you're actually setting a place at the
yes.
table, you're not using paper napkins, if you can help it.
Yeah. I mean, it makes such a big difference. For every day, of course, you use thick paper napkin, but our French family have their little napkin ring in a family, and you use it, for a day or two, and you put it back in somewhere. But if you are entertaining or if you are in a restaurant, of course, you want a real napkin, a tablecloth napkin. I mean, that already sets the tone. We're not eating at McDonald's.
We're going to switch for just a minute. Can you talk a little bit about the fact that in Europe, vacations are given at least 6 weeks to employees, about that whole mentality difference between the American 1 or 2 week paid vacation time and the French and the European view of this? I think it's really important.
Well, it's coming back to the quality over quantity, and in many ways, you might say, well, 6 weeks vacation, who need that much? But it's actually proven by surveys have been made to show that, a week vacation is not enough in a year to recharge the battery. And many Americans who even have 2 weeks, I mean, when I had my staff, some wouldn't even take the 2 weeks. And to me, this was like, wow. And we need it. Today it's proven that you need more time to recharge and you need time to unwind. And actually, you're better off when you come back. You're more relaxed. You've really had some time with your family or friends to do other things. You even might be able to think better and clearer and have better ideas. So there are a lot of pluses at having a nice vacation. And you really have to sort of break from that routine of going to work every day. And you can't break that routine in 3 days. People who tell me, all I need is a couple of days and I'm back. It's like, people who said, I only need 3 hours of sleep. Well, you don't. And now, too, surveys have shown with, great hospital taking the records and how people deal with the lack of sleep, and it catches on you, and you need 6 to 8 hours sleep, period. If you don't, your body will be not at maximum optimum function, and so it has repercussion on your life, on your health, on many things. And vacation is what I talk about in the fourth anchor, the me time, the you time, the taking whatever it takes to relax, but not only once a year for vacation, but on a daily basis. Whether it's 5 minutes or half an hour or whatever, again, one size doesn't fit all. But for me, I remember when I was working and it was, a lot of pressure and seeing a lot of people, sometimes there were meetings and decisions to make. And sometimes after 2-3 hours, I was exhausted and I just, go to my office and close the door for a few minutes and take a few deep breaths and do a few movements and felt, renewed again. So you have to find what's good for you and what makes you relax and recharge, because it's really vital.
Do you think that in America, given your international experience, that American companies or companies that are based here could begin instituting a 4 to 6 week vacation time? Or do you think they're going to feel like they could lose their employees or they'll lose too much money paying them to leave that amount of time? How do you deal with that concern?
Well, it's, many companies now give 2 weeks, and then, if you stay like 5 years, in our company, when you stay 5 years, you had, or 3 years, you had another week, and then after 5 years, you had 4 weeks. And, I think more and more companies should do that. And some are trying to do that because there's also, high turnover, and performance and efficiency is not always what companies would expect them to be. So people are realizing that. I'll give you an example, if I may. I was invited by a very famous investment banking firm at their London headquarters a couple of years ago. Before I wrote the business book, but it was telling to me. They hadn't told me what was the purpose, but they were doing a weekend for their women employees. And actually, it was mostly women, and they were traders. And there were women who had been trained mostly at the London Business School, and they came from all over the world, and they were aged maybe 25 to 32. And so we were there in the countryside of England, in a beautiful, hotel with golf course, etc. And I was the first speaker. And I talk about my French Woman Don't Get Fat and French Woman for All Seasons book about lifestyle balance and health and holistic approach. And was introduced there were a few men. One of them was the chair of that company in England. And he introduced me and, of course, gave all the background about, me being, at the time I was still a CEO and blah, blah, blah. And so I gave my little talk, and when the Q&A came, these women started saying, well, you're a CEO, and raising business questions about me time. And they said, we don't have the time. I'm wondering and all that. and so, I am a person who walks the walk and talks the talk. I mean, what you hear is what you get, So I said to them, well, obviously, many of them didn't have a family life because they went to work at 5 a.m, came back at 11. Or if they had, their husband grew tired of them. If they had children, they couldn't see their children. Many ended up in divorce after 2-3 years. And, like question after question, I said, wow, you sound like you're burned out. And I said to them, you have to make the decision. Maybe you're in the wrong job. Maybe, what I said in the business book, you can't have it all at once, so you have to make some choices. And about 2 weeks later, I had 6 emails among those 200 women who had left their job.
Wow.
And I was like, ooh, I hope I'm not creating unemployment, all that. I said, it dawned on me that I was not doing anything, what's the point? I'm working all these hours. I make a lot of money, but I don't have the time to spend it. I don't have quality time with my family. I've ruined my marriage. My kids are annoyed at me. I'm unhappy at work. There's got to be something better than that. And they went into totally different fields. And, to conclude that this guy was